If you were a teenager in the 90s, you probably had attitude. From Sonic the Hedgehog and Bart Simpson to John Connor and Bobby Budnick, we all had attitude. That's what the 90s were all about. Young kids having attitude. The disgruntled product of good times and a thriving economy. The best thing about 90s attitude is that it didn't require any explanation or justification. I have attitude because I do. You got a problem with that, dude? But as a fan of classic animation and someone who is endlessly fascinated by the marketing ploys companies use to sell us crap, the most interesting example of what a good attitude could get you in the 90s is the Tasmanian Devil. Despite appearing in only 5 Looney Tunes shorts during their original run decades earlier, Taz just blew up in the 90s. They gave him his own show, he rose from a supporting character to a megastar, and this is how you really know he was a big deal, he even got his own video games. This is Taz in Escape from Mars. And after playing this game, I think I figured out the source of all the attitude in those disillusioned 90s youth. They had to play all these god-awful video games. And speaking of attitude in gaming, Taz borrows heavily from Sega's Blue Hedgehog in Escape from Mars. The game is a fast-paced platformer with bizarre level layouts that you just move through without really knowing where you're going. The biggest difference, though, is in the game's controls. I've never been a huge fan of how he controls, but at least you can play Sonic. I can't really say the same thing for Taz in Escape from Mars. You play Escape from Mars with a nice 3-button control scheme. One jumps, another performs an action, like eating food, and the other does the devil's trademark spin, which for the purposes of this game is his attack. It all seems nice and easy in concept, but the problem is in their abysmal execution. Now, if you're familiar with the character, you know he doesn't move very smoothly. And that's fine in a cartoon because it's funny, but in a video game, it isn't funny. It may be fitting for the character, but it's also a tremendous pain in the ass. Simply jumping to a platform is hard in this game, and not because of some inherent degree of challenge, but because these are some of the clunkiest controls I've ever tried to use. I'm sure some of you have fond memories of this game, but listen, don't let nostalgia blind you. This is clunky and this is awful. And it's not just the jumping, which is unequivocally terrible. It's everything. Taz can attack with his spin, but as you'd expect, it's tough to keep him under control when he does it. That leads you to accidentally spinning through helpful items, which destroys them. As in, you can't use them, and all because it's impossible to control your character with any precision whatsoever. But again, because that's one of the character's traits, you get the sense these controls could have been a deliberate design choice. It doesn't make it a good one, though. This game is almost unplayably frustrating because of its controls. But still, you know, I love the Looney Tunes, and we have to thank our main man, Mohammed from Qatar, for sending us this copy. And you know, it's a real shame this game controls so poorly because I love the concept. Taz is abducted by Marvin the Martian, there are plenty of cool Looney Tunes cameos, and the sprites look really good. But Taz in Escape from Mars isn't a cartoon. It's a video game, and unfortunately, it's not very good. It's not very. It sucks.